G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineers Survival. Today I'd like to do something a little bit special in order to get this tower all welded up and protect it against any stupidity that any enemies that I might bring upon the base through stupidity by exploring with the tick. And, well, I'm almost certainly going to have that happen. So I really want this tower to be more robust than it currently is, as at the moment you could probably destroy it with a paper cut. While the look of the scaffolding is something I quite like, the fact that it is so easily destroyed, really, it's too much of a drawback for the stylistic advantages. So I will weld the whole thing up. And that's going to take a long time. We need to build all of those steel plates. We're going to need all of the construction components, the girders for all of the stairs, and hopefully while that's getting done, we'll also get a bunch of the solar panels done. So, in order to do that, and not have you watching a perspective that's flicking back and forth at crazy high speeds, I've brought along a little help. Some of you might recognize this guy. This is Reginald. He's using Sectan's service unit model, which is pretty cool. Reginald comes from the Light Echoes Machinima series that I make with my friend Kapak, and he's going to be used in this setting, well, in this episode, in order to record some time lapses so that you don't have to watch me flicking about my perspective. The first thing we're going to do before we start getting onto all of that, though, is we really need to enhance our production capacity. And right now we've got a single assembler, and we have an opportunity right here to expand and place another one. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. If we grab our assembler, turn off auto rotate because it's going to drive me insane. So if we can manage to build this, then I'm going to be able to build all of the necessary pieces for the other bits of the solar tower, so not the panels, at the same time as producing the panels, because the panels don't require iron, and all of the other components that I need only require iron, which actually works out perfectly. So let's grab an assembler and add it to the front of the queue. We'll get all those parts built, and hopefully then we'll have enough production to get a few things done a bit more quickly. As it turned out, I pretty much had everything ready to go for another assembler, except for having the steel plates, and that's because I actually built this second one before I demolished the other one. I should have remembered that. So now that we've got this second assembler finished, instead of building all of the pieces for the the power efficiency modules from the other one, I'm going to build it from this one and get back to getting as many solar panels as I can. And we are done. New assembler, fully upgraded, ready to go. Now, we're going to need to make a whole bunch of parts in order to get all those catwalks finished. And unfortunately, I can't see the catwalk anywhere in this list. So, I do know how much of each component is required for each one. And instead of queuing up a whole bunch, I'd like to be able to build each one as I go. So what we'll do is we'll enable repeat mode, and we'll go with 10 steel plates, 10 construction components. No, not 10 construction components. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the final piece will be 10 girders. And I did that on the wrong assembler. That's why I wasn't starting. Let's try that again. Enable repeat. 10 steel plates, 10 girders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's organize this a bit more. And there we go. Now, each loop it will go through, and then it adds them back to the end of the queue once it produces them. So it will produce exactly the amount of components I need for each piece of catwalk before going on to produce the next bunch of components for the next piece. So I'll get one piece at a time, effectively, and it'll just continue to do that until I tell it to stop or until it runs out of iron. And now it's time for the time lapse. There's one little bit left to do on the solar tower that I'd like to upgrade a little bit from where it's at. And it's going to be that little conduit that we built underneath here. So I don't really want it to stay as this construction stage. I want the next construction stage. And the parts that need us to get to the next construction stage are a couple of steel plates and just one construction component. Rather than using up 20 construction components on all of these blocks and waiting for all that to be built, I'm going to do things a different way. What I'm going to do is separate out a few singles. Maybe we'll do 5. Then I'm going to drop them on the ground. I would strongly suggest not doing this in multiplayer, as I don't know what will happen with your construction components. I'm going to drop the other ones. And the reason I've dropped them one at a time is if I pick up that one And with my steel plates as well in hand, I can then go and weld this up to the next construction stage without wasting any extra components beyond what's needed to get to that stage. So I'll pick up another one and do the same. And I'll do this the whole way along, as I want this more robust looking stage with the tube in the center and then the outside like a bit of a framework around it, rather than this hollow scaffolding look. And this way I save an awful lot of time and effort on not making construction components that I don't need. And since the sun is almost rising, this is just about perfect timing, as we'll check out what actually got done during the night as soon as the sun is up. One thing I should note is that I had to fiddle around to figure out... Oh, nuts. Picked up two of them. I had to fiddle around to figure out exactly how many components were needed to get just to this construction stage. It wasn't something I was able to easily determine from what's on the component list. And there we have it. Our conduit looks a bit more solid now, which is what I was after. The sun is peeking up over the ridgeline. So let's go have a look at how everything appears now that we've got some light to see it by. I'm actually fairly happy with that look. It's not quite as nice as it was with the scaffolding, but it's still it's still alright, I reckon. I've only got another 7 solar panels to go and all of the panels will be finished, which is awesome. And with a second assembler, I did do a little bit of something else, which is down the back here. I've actually gotten all of the iron-only components built for all of these conveyors right around to where this refinery is. So all I need now is to wait for all of the motors to be built and we'll be good to go. Now, unfortunately, the motors use nickel, and nickel is needed for the solar cells, so that's not going to be something that's going to be quick. You can see there's still almost 300, well, there's still 373 solar cells to go. And I ordered a bunch of steel plates so that we can weld up a bit of this corridor when we come back to it. And also because it's convenient and handy to have a few solar cells lying around. Not solar cells, steel panels, steel plates, those things. Hopefully this has been a good way to jump ahead a bit in time and get a few things built so that we're not constantly struggling and waiting on everything. If you like this, or if you've got any ideas on how I might be able to do it better next time, let me know. As always, there is plenty more to come, so I'll see you then.